Do you get anxious when you're pricing a gardening job for a new client? Do you lack the confidence? Do you just get numbers and throw them around and just put something out there to get the job? G'day viewers, Jeff McPhee's Gardening, Melbourne, Australia. Today's video, I want to talk about the process that I use in pricing gardening jobs. Now, it is a process because most of us, when we first start out, I know I did, I lacked the confidence, I wasn't prepared, and I was just throwing figures around in my head. So I'd front up to the door and the client, no preparation at all. The client would say, look, I want our ABC done in the garden. And whilst they're doing it and walking around, I'm already trying to work out how much the job is going to be, what I'm going to charge. And I get to a stage where I'm too much concentrating on that whilst the customer's still talking and trying to explain what they want, and sometimes miss some golden opportunities of what they want. And I've missed the boat in some cases. Now, it's the old story, you can't judge a book by its cover. So every client that I price, I treat them equally. Now, today we're not going to talk about red flags. There is red flags when you're doing quoting and something you should be aware of. We've covered that in previous videos and may address that in the future, but the red flags is something, it's another subject. So what we're going to do is we're going to be consistent. Good pricing requires consistency, preparation, and having a process. So the one that's got the Mercedes-Benz or the old jalop in the driveway, you might tend to not charge as much or overcharge on the one that's got the Mercedes. You know, sometimes you don't know what people's lives are. You don't know what money they've got. And this is why, rather than try to judge the person and try to judge their bank balance, take that equation out of it, take that stress out of it, and just have everybody treated equally. Let's start stage one. So before we start out, I think it's good to have a bit of a background on the client, potential clients, what they want. Now, you can either do that by looking up Google Maps and you get an idea what their property looks like, but most often I'll ask them to send me or email, text, a photo of what they want done so that I'm prepared before I get there. I've got an idea what they're looking at. And that makes it so much easier rather than roll up to the door and get a shock going, oh my God, I didn't think the hedge was that big, it's too big or whatever. So at least you get an idea by the photo. And you know what people are like when they say, oh look, it's not that big or the grass is not that long. They take a photo, you might get some idea, because people do put a bit of mayonnaise on their stories, don't they? So the biggest thing is with preparation is very important. The second thing is to know your numbers. So when you're pricing the gardening job, you're going to use your business hourly rate to work out the price. Now, the client won't know that hourly rate because you're going to give them a fixed price. Well, that's what I do. I give them a fixed price. Knowing the numbers is important. Don't use an hourly rate that everybody else is using because we're all different. We've all got different overheads and we've all got different needs. My hourly rate will be different to somebody else's hourly rate, but it's important that that hourly rate covers all the cost of running your business. We've mentioned that in the past, and also paying yourself a wage. We'll get onto profit margin shortly. So once you've established a system by working out how much you're going to charge, you're going to estimate how long it's going to take, we move on to the next step. Always front up to the front door, prompt and reliable and professional, as we say before, but have a quote book. It looks the part, get a pen and paper. You might use an iPhone or an iPad perhaps. Now, you'll see on the screen here, I use prompts. That's a set page on each part of my quote book. So we're looking at the customer, so we're looking at their name, their address, their contact numbers, their email addresses, which is very important because more often than not, you might have to go away and come and send them an email. But I'll give you the tip. If you can give them the quote straight away, you've got a really good chance of getting the job because they haven't got time to go and get somebody else or think about it and they agree there and then. But of course, when you've got materials, you might have to source materials, or you may need to think about the process that's involved. It might be quite a big job. But for a hedging job, and we'll give an example today that the customer requests, say, a 2-foot reduction, and they want it squared up and they want the face adjacent to the driveway. They don't want it overhanging the driveway, for example. So you'll estimate that, and you'll see the next bit is the scope of works. So point by point, clear exactly what's going to be done, so that when you're talking to the client, you both you're communicating to your client that you want 2 foot, you want the face brought back to the driveway, but you've got to ensure that you communicated what you're going to do is what they're expecting. Because what you're doing at the end of the day is you're not selling this quote on price, you're going to sell it on value. What value you're going to give that client. Because a lot of people, they don't necessarily want the cheapest price, but they want value. So that's very important to have that mindset. And then we're going to move on to the hours. We can estimate hedging. It might take us, 30 minutes to trim, but it might take us an hour and a bit to clean up and pick up. So we'll include that in our quote. So we multiply that by our hourly rate. And it may require tip fees. Now, my tip fees, price for tip fees, I have standard quotes. In other words, one ute load will be $220. If I've got a trailer, it might be more. If it's half a ute load, it'll be $150, etc. I'll have a sliding scale so that straight away I can work out how long it's going to take me. Now, that tip fee includes the price at the tip, includes the travel time, the unloading of the refuse, etc. So that's put down. So that's added up to come out to a figure. Now, on top of that, you're going to add a profit margin. Now, some people might use 10%. I use 30. Add that on, and of course, we look at the end where we've got our GS2 is goods and services tax, or VAT in England or Europe or wherever you are, and then the client is then given a total figure. Now, you're selling this estimate on value, so it's important to explain to the customer, for this particular money, you're going to get, the hedge reduction, a nice trimmed up area, a cleaned area, everything's going to be swept up, raked up, all the refuse taken to the tip, so all the tip fees will be covered in the quote, etc., and the site left clean. So when the job's finished, the client knows exactly what he's going to get, he knows exactly what you've explained, and that's what's happened. I found when I had a system of quoting, it took that being anxious out of the equation, because I've fronted up the door, I'm well versed in exactly what's required. I've got a fixed pricing scheme, so I've already worked out my hourly rate, and this rate is always updated yearly because costs of running a business increase. So you can ensure that that's put onto your hourly rate as well. Now, when you're offering these prices and you win every price, there's two things. It's either you're too cheap or you're really good at selling value to the customer. What I tend to do is I tend to increase the profit margin to a stage where I start getting knockbacks. If I get knockbacks, well, I know I'm definitely too dear, and I'm definitely, the value that I'm providing is too much. But it's important not to undersell yourself. How many times you've done an estimate, priced the job, you finished it, and it's taken so much longer, and you've spent so much more on tipping fees, etc. So it does require quite a lot of thought to get it right. With mowing, it's a simple process, dictated by market value, what everyone else is charging in the area. If it's a new job, I either use it 2 or 3 times the cut value of doing the job, but it's a pretty straightforward mowing. So with gardening, whether it's garden rejuvenations, materials, these are the other things that got to be added in, markup of materials, etc. Hope that's helped. Process, prepare, and know your numbers are the key issues of good pricing of jobs. Takes anxiety out of it, makes you more confident, and at the end of the day, it's going to make you money. See you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.